항상 얘기하는 것이 좀 통일될 때까지 살아줬으면 하는 그런 바람이었는데 이제 뭐 다 돌아가실 것 같고 그런 생각조차 하는 내 자신이 또 뭐 아버님 통일이 되어서 가서 배울 줄 알았는데 시간이 너무 많이 흘렀습니다. 하늘나라에서라도 편히 쉬시기 바랍니다.
South and North Red Cross talk compromised difference and successfully established a family reunion, a mandatory humanitarian task. 1910, Korea was under Japanese colonial rule. After the end of World War II, Japan was defeated and the Korean peninsula was decolonized. However, at the time of World War II, Korea was treated as a Japanese colony, and the Korean peninsula had to be reoccupied by Soviet Union and the United States. During the Cold War, Soviet Union and the United States were trying to put more countries under their own political influence to spread their ideal government system. Since both Soviet Union and the United States wanted to rule the Korean peninsula, they compromised to divide the peninsula into two in 1945. The United States ruled Korea from below the 38th parallel, and the Soviet Union ruled Korea from above the 38th parallel. 38th parallel is a line that divides North and South Korea. By the influence of Soviet Union, communism settled in North Korea, and by the US influence, democracy settled in South Korea. Differences in how these two countries were run would later lead to several clashes. Consequently, North and South Korea wanted their own government to reunify the country and rule the peninsula by their political rule. On June 25, 1950, North Korea suddenly attacked the South. As the Soviet Union and the United States joined the war, it resulted into an international fight. As the damage grew too great, the Armistice Agreement, which is an agreement to a temporary rest in the battle, was signed in July 1953. The damage of the war was severely large and deep. 984,400 of South Koreans, 30% of North Korean population, and 500,000 soldiers from other 57 participating countries were killed or wounded. About 27,700 Korean students aging from 15 to 17 participated, and the war also resulted to a lot of orphans. One of the victims of the war were the separated families. During the war, many people had to leave their beloved families behind, not knowing that it would be the last time they would see each other. Children were swept by the mass of people. Many men were forcefully recruited as a soldier and returned dead or missing. After Korea was divided into two nations, separated families had no way to see each other. They even doubted whether their family members were even alive. For 60 years, families are still divided. After the war, about 10 million families were separated. Many citizens urged for family reunions. Because North and South Korea is in a temporary rest of war, families could not call, could not send letters, nor could they meet each other. The government regulated all the family interactions.
어머니 고생 많이 했으시오. 난 어머니 많이 보고 싶었는데 어머니는 안 보고 싶었어요, 우리들. 어머님이 이제 돌아갔어서 뭐 보지도 못하겠네요. 어머니한테 할 말이 많지만 다 못하겠네요.
1971, September 20th, to reunite the separated families, South Korea Red Cross finally offered a talk with the North Korea Red Cross. The Red Cross is a humanitarian organization that provides emergency assistance. Until 1992, for 20 years, there were 70 Red Cross talks between North and South Korea, where they debated for reunification date, place, number of people, and many topics. To establish a family reunion, it required a lot of compromising. The Inter-Korean Red Cross Society had 25 preliminary talks over a year, but both sides were divided for a decade, making it difficult to understand both positions. There was also some controversy during the talks, including the agenda, the composition of delegation, confirmation of life and status of separated families, and more. Delegates each sent from North and South Korea insisted on their own arguments. July 13, 1973, after the 7th Red Cross talk concerning the family reunion, North and South Korea did not continue on with their meeting because they could not develop agreements. For the next 12 years, they stopped the Red Cross talk, and after 12 years, the Red Cross finally compromised culture exchange event on September 20th, 1985. The purpose of culture exchange event was to familiarize with the cultures of each other's country. The culture exchange event brought the South and North Korea's Red Cross together and continued with the meetings. 1987, after the culture exchange event, Team Spirit training in South Korea became a dispute. Team Spirit training is a training to prepare for a war that could happen at any moment when the armistice breaks. South Korea viewed it as a military training, but North Korea debated that it is a preparation for a war with North Korea. South Korea had to make a decision for its relationship with North Korea. On March 4, 1994, the government suspended Team Spirit training to improve inter-Korean relations. There were many disagreements between North Korea and South Korea, and there were many suspicions and rivalries which did war in temporary rest. The two Koreas had to overcome and compromise for the reunion of separated families. The first family reunion was agreed in 1989. The revolutionary performance titled The Flower Girl caused a debate, and the family reunion was once again cancelled. From 1971, the Inter-Korean Red Cross talk continued talking, debating, compromising, and after 30 years, on August 15, 2000, the first family reunion was held. 130,850 separated families applied for the reunion. Only 100 people among 130,000 were chosen. Because the chance was extremely low, it is often referred to as lottery. In Seoul Central City in Pyongyang Korea Hotel, families were given 3 days to cover the 60 years they were separated.
이사 시간을 못하고 여기까지 살아계시고.
Many lived to see their families once more. Their last memories of their family members were from when they were still young men and women. Thus, it was extremely heartbreaking for them to meet their families again after they aged. 100-year-old woman met her daughter, who was a high school junior when she left her, but now 75 years old. An 82-year-old wife who couldn't talk met her 79-year-old husband. A father who already had a funeral for his daughter met his only child once more. With all their happiness, there wasn't a single person who didn't cry for the reality where two Koreas were still in war and they were given only a short time. They lived not even knowing if their family was still alive. It is the most distressing tragedy when families cannot meet each other while living in the same land. News reporter Kang In-lee were sent to deliver the reunion. They stated it wasn't a sad experience. It was a sorrow no one can bear twice. I felt so sad and ashamed I could not look straight, could not but turn my head. I don't think I can watch it again. On average, 10 separated family members die every day. From 2000 to 2015, 20 reunions were accomplished, and among 130,000, 28,000 separated families reunited. 2017, only 60,000 divided families are alive, and 45% are 80 years old. The Korean government believes that solving the problem of separated families is not only a humanitarian task, but also important for the tranquility and peace settlement, not only in Korean Peninsula but for the world. Because of Red Cross, North and South Korea's relationship significantly improved, and the government succeeded in first North and South Korea summit in June 2000. The Red Cross talk emphasized the importance of both governments' effort to the relationship. However, North Korea again tackled South Korea's military training with the United States. After the 20th family reunion in 2015, North Korea stopped contact with South Korea, no longer replying to any attempts of communication.
We begin tonight with that breaking news. North Korea's latest efforts at launching a missile
Currently, with
test.
North Korea's success in nuclear missiles, North and South Korea's relationship is reaching to the worst point, and the tension keeps rising. However, the Inter-Red Cross talk shows the hope that no matter how different South and North Korea becomes, we can compromise the difference.